You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts now.
I am back. Rodrance for Black and White Sports 2. Well, we're going to talk about Lamar Jackson. As we know, he just landed a 5-year, $260 million contract, and I did give Lamar props for the fact that somehow, some way, he did get this done himself, even though I still believe there was somebody behind the scenes helping to negotiate that was not his mother. Okay, now as we know, this is a huge risk for the Ravens. We're talking about a quarterback that has been injury prone, missed the last part of the season last year, cost them dearly going into the playoffs. I said, I don't know what they could have really done. Maybe if Lamar would have been there, they gave the Bengals absolute hell during that playoff game. Very quickly, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. You know the drill. Check us out on podcast. We are available everywhere podcasts are available. And, of course, live streams Monday through Thursday on Rumble, politics, sports, entertainment. Me and John over on Black and White News on Rumble. Live, 10 a.m. Central. So we're going to talk about this because even some Raven fans are not happy with the Ravens for having given this big-ass contract. And if you expand that even further to NFL fans, the Baltimore Ravens are getting absolutely drugged. Now, one could look at it from the standpoint of, in 2 years, this contract's going to be middle of the road, right? But you got to wonder, is it going to hamper the franchise any far as collecting talent? And the problem is, can Lamar Jackson stay healthy? It's a valid question in all of this. It truly is. So let's get to this because I found it very interesting that some Baltimore Ravens fans actually reached out to the Baltimore Sun, which is the newspaper, and expressed true concern, and including this guy calling this a colossal mistake, and in writing into the paper, a colossal mistake in caps. The Ravens capitulated to Lamar Jackson, 1 win, 3 losses in the postseason, with an undeserved reported $260 million contract, including $185 million guaranteed. This was where I was really critical of Lamar. Some guy came through the chat and said, what do you mean Lamar Jackson lost money? Well, he lost money because he was drafted in the Josh Allen draft. So the way this works is when one of those quarterbacks signs an extension, then whoever else was also in that draft that is due that actually hit, like Lamar, now some could argue, how much did he hit? I don't know. But he should have been next up on an extension. Well, they gave Josh Allen, he basically made $50 million since he signed that extension. Lamar Jackson would have made somewhere in that same neighborhood. Because he chose not to do an extension, that money is gone forever. He will never get that 40 to 50 million from the last couple of seasons back. It's just gone. It was a horrible decision to have not taken an extension when the Ravens originally offered it. So come hell or high water, yeah, he's got money, big money that's gone forever. General Manager Eric DeCosta and Coach John Harbaugh will come to regret that deal, which is reminiscent of the Orioles' disastrous $161 million deal with Chris Davis. God, man. Now that's a name I have not heard in a long time. A long time. The reason I bring that up like that, Chris Davis is from right here where I'm at. In the very town I live is where Chris Davis is from, including $42 million deferred. Davis' career abruptly ended in August of 2021 because of injuries. Is Jackson a running quarterback likely to finish his 5-year contract, or like Davis, retire early due to injuries, with a big chunk of that $185 million still to be paid. Even if Jackson finishes the 5-year deal, he will not lead the Ravens to a Super Bowl title. Why? Because he's an inaccurate passer. There's no questioning that. Although he is more accurate than people give him credit for, the problem is he's very accurate on only the first read and sometimes the second read. You get the third and fourth reads, yikes, look out. He's prone to missing receivers who are wide open for touchdowns. He seldom hits a receiver in stride, reducing or eliminating yards after the catch. He's incapable of throwing to a spot before the receiver arrives in order to increase chances of a completion. Rather, the receiver often has to stop, turn around towards Jackson before he releases the pass, decreasing chances of a completion. Certainly helps out defensive backs. There's no doubt about that. Ravens receivers have received a bad rap in 2022, not because they aren't good, but mainly because of Jackson's passing deficiencies. The additions of Odell Beckham Jr. and Zay Flowers are not likely to significantly improve Jackson's accuracy. In the current NFL, no matter how good a team's running game is, it needs an accurate passer to win a Super Bowl. Lamar Jackson has proved time and again he's not that guy. That was David from Parkville. 5 more years of mediocrity. It was magical thinking in 2018 that for the Ravens to draft a weak-armed running quarterback, Lamar Jackson. Recently, the team doubled down on its mistake by extending Jackson's contract for 5 more years at a cost of $260 million. There is nothing to celebrate unless 5 more years of mediocrity is what you want for the Ravens. General Manager Eric DeCosta and the Ravens have done everything in their power to help Jackson, certainly more than they would do for any other player. To what end? Quarterbacks usually get paid for past performance, but Lamar got a huge payday for something he has not proved he is capable of doing, getting us deep in the playoffs. $260 million for a player who has failed for 5 years is not characteristic of Ravens management. That I can agree with. The team and the fans will come to regret mistakes of DeCosta's years. Jalen Hurts, the Eagles QB, proved himself in the Super Bowl and earned his big contract. What has Jackson done to warrant this big contract? ? Dudley. Wow. And this guy goes on to talk about society issues involving big contracts and why the hell football players are making so much money. So again, a Ravens fan, but he's like, really? I mean, what does Jackson do for the rest of society? I mean, come on, that's just capitalism. I'm not about to dog out Lamar over that. Now, enter in other NFL fans. This, of course, is Ian Rappaport announcing the deal. And as you can imagine, it got ugly. This guy says overpaid for an injury-prone running back. Yikes. Yikes. At Rap Sheet, highest paid running back. There's been a lot of that. He's great, but not worth $50 million. Guess Baltimore had to keep him. Well, they didn't. Way too much money. The Ravens will regret this. Wow, Ravens got fleeced by a player acting as his own agent? I'm going to hire Lamar Jackson to talk to my boss and renegotiate my salary. Crazy overpay. Yuck. I think this ages terribly, and I don't see how they win anything significant over the next 2 to 3 years. But what else can you do? You can go find you a different quarterback. That's a lot of money for someone who plays 8 games a year. Jackson has a 1-3 career playoff record, and that's his real Achilles heel. Defenses get tougher in the playoffs, and it's harder to win with a running quarterback like that's got a limited skill set from the perspective of his 3rd, 4th, and even 5th guys on the field that he throws the ball to. Jackson had a 1-3 career playoff record with 4 total touchdowns and 7 turnovers. His passer rating in the playoffs, 68.3, 28.4 lower than his regular season average. The 5th largest drop-off in NFL history. This guy's got his stats down. Wholly overpay for a guy who has done nothing in the playoffs. So, I mean, there you can see, I mean, the NFL fans, and I would assume I would assume, and maybe incorrectly, that those aren't Ravens fans. But as you can see, you had two Ravens fans that literally sat down and took the time to type something out and send it to the Baltimore Sun to express the fact that they think the Ravens just screwed themselves over this Lamar Jackson deal. A lot of people would say, well, what else could they do? Well, they could have signed. There was quarterbacks all over the place in free agency this year. They could have went out and signed another quarterback. They could have. They could have just chosen not, they could have easily traded Lamar, but the problem is nobody wanted him, which I think of everything that's happened involving this, Lamar Jackson not being wanted by any other team at all. Because, look, I know the Colts went out there and drafted Anthony Richardson. Well, if I was going to do that, I would have traded for Lamar. I would have said, you know what? Let's just trade for Lamar. If we're going to sign Anthony Richardson, let's just go get the guy that's already done it, and he's not but 26, yada, yada, yada. And there's certain things, at least walking in the door for the Colts, that you don't have to teach Lamar how to do, right? But again, you got a massive savings right now on a rookie contract with Anthony Richardson. I just don't foresee Richardson being as good as Lamar. Lamar played a lot more college football, okay? So I'm just throwing that out. I'm skeptical of Lamar's contract working with the Ravens. I'm highly skeptical of Anthony Richardson becoming a dude. All right? I am floored by how physical attributes seems to have overridden common sense in the NFL when it comes to quarterback. Man, the NFL needs a douching when it comes to looking and scouting at quarterback. Truly. I mean, it's crazy to me. And I don't know that Will Levis is going to do anything. He may end up being Blake Bortles. But at least you got the backup of, yes, he's still athletic, and he's played a lot more college football. He turned the ball over a lot. Well, odds are, Lamar did too, but odds are, if you turn the ball over a lot in college, you're going to do it in the NFL. So, I don't know. It's strange how teams evaluate quarterbacks these days. Tell me what you think. Ravens fans, not happy. NFL fans just find this laughable. We'll see how it works out. Again, in 2 years, it's going to be a middle-of-the-road contract. But you got a lot of teams that are locked into bad NFL quarterback QB contracts right now. Kyler Murray, Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson. Yikes. And when coaches are choosing to not take jobs with a couple of those teams over the contracts that are given to quarterbacks, that tells you a lot. I mean, people consider now, look, Russell Wilson is better than Kyler Murray, but they consider Kyler Murray and that contract and his attitude to be toxic. Tell me what you think. Peace. I'm out. Till next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.